Welcome, everyone, to the first episode of the 2021 Offseason. We're here to bring you news, notes, weekly updates, and game analysis of your favorite teams from around the league. If you had not had the chance, go check out our website, justsayingfootball.com, and follow us on Instagram at justsayingNoGWJS for article and video updates. Been a crazy first week of free agency so far. Juju Smith-Schuster finally got signed, only a one-year, $5 million deal. A little bit lower than I was expecting for him. Thought he was going to reset the market. Will Fuller, 1 year, $10 million deal. Kenny G, still unsigned. Saw your Giants yesterday. What are you thinking about everything, Jack?
I don't know. I really thought they were going to wait each other out here, and now it looks like Kenny was really waiting for them to set the market, and Will Fuller and Juju are going out signing 1 year prove-it deals right now. And I think that with the whole Kenny situation, I don't know where the Giants are getting this money, but Daniel Jones needs a number one receiver. So obviously, as a Giants fan, I want that. I want the money to work. They just made a lot of moves. But the receivers, they remained unsigned for a couple of days. These guys definitely took their time. And unlike a lot of, the signings that we saw that took place so quickly, and, with all those signings, we can jump right into that, just our reactions to this whole week of incredible, free agency movement. And I just got to ask you right off the bat, is there a free agency signing that you really loved that maybe people aren't talking about it, but you really love this signing?
Dude, it's Corey Linsley, the center formerly on the Green Bay Packers, now with the LA
Yeah.
Chargers. Look, the number one ranked center according to Pro Football Focus with an 86.4 grade. The next closest was JC Treader, the center for the Browns with an 81. Dude was a first team All-Pro last year. He's slowly been getting better every single year he's progressed in his time in Green Bay. You got the offensive rookie of the year quarterback and Justin Herbert there getting ready for year two. And what do? They go out there and they get him more protection. And the benefit of Lindsey also, aside from protection, is his ability to help with the run game. We saw what he was able to do opening up holes for Aaron Jones the last couple seasons. Aaron Jones has been on a scoring tear and a running tear. So this is really going to help out Austin Eckler. This is going to help out Justin Herbert. This is really going to help out this offense. And he'll get to go with his running mate, Brian Bulaga, who's playing right tackle for the Chargers as well. I'm excited for the Chargers just the same way I was last season. But what about you? What signing did you like?
Yeah, I mean, the signing for me that I love the most was Matt Judon of the Patriots. I was saying before about how some teams got it going early, and no team got it going just like how they got it. They were spending so much money. But Matt Judon, honestly, he really got his payday. I've seen a lot of articles come out where a lot of people are saying things like, they don't think he'll live up to this payday. I'm not one of those people. I've had I've had my eye on him in this Ravens defense with a lot of playmakers. I've always found like he was somebody that really developed on their team. He was always very consistent. And now after 5 seasons, he's able to head over there and give Bill Belichick and Matt Patricia, who's back in New England, now that extra creativity at linebacker with Dante Hightower coming back. And, this is a guy in the 5 years who got 34 sacks. This guy's going to get you 7 sacks a year. And especially with a good defensive coordinator, he knows what he's capable of. I love this signing. I think the Patriots defense could be back, honestly.
Absolutely, especially the way that they scheme and the way that they move their teams around going up against opposing offenses, especially they still retain Stephon Gilmore and don't trade him during the draft or before the draft or before the start of the season.
Yeah.
This is a defense and a team I think definitely to watch out for. Got a question for you though.
Yeah.
Were there any of these contracts that we saw that you just didn't like? With anyone who was overpaid or you just didn't like that they went to that team?
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's not more overpaid. It would still, for me, I've been thinking about it all week. It's really just Corey Davis. I thought that he was going to go to an offense with a little bit more of an explosion. He's now kind of being thrust into a number one role. That was something that I thought, at $9 million a year, he could be a wide receiver too, for another team like he was in Tennessee. I wouldn't say he got overpaid. I just more think that the Jets needed someone like Will Fuller, somebody that can really stretch the field for Sam Darnold, while Corey Davis is a little more of a possession guy, while they're looking more to get something like that in the draft probably. But anything for you, any contract you think was overpaid or anybody you didn't like the signing to their team?
It's not that I didn't like the signing of Jonnu Smith to the Patriots. It was more the size of the contract.
Yeah.
The 4-year, $50 million to get overpaid by Hunter Henry, who's been producing more than you, is a little bit unusual to me. His contract puts him, right behind the Kittles and the Kelseys,
Definitely.
of the NFL. And one would make the argument that he's not in that top three. You know, in my opinion, the top three is Waller, Kelsey, Kittle, not in that order, but that to me is the top three
Definitely.
tight ends in the league. And then there's a little bit of a drop after them. And I think while Jonnu Smith is a great do-it-all tight end, really athletic, we saw that he can run the ball really, really well, catch the ball. He's never had over 500 yards. You know,
Yeah.
it's more has to do with the size of the contract based off production for
Definitely.
me with him.
And for me, that's the word you always got to use with me to convince me when, especially fantasy wise, production. How much volume is he going to get? One question I wanted to pose to you that I've been looking at a lot, with the signing of Jonnu Smith, they also signed Hunter Henry. A lot of people have been asking about the difference in the fantasy value now that, because the tight end market, as you mentioned, there's three guys and then there's a huge drop. Who really do you think has the most fantasy value here? Because one, Jonnu could be a great red zone target for Cam Newton. Hunter Henry, fantasy wise, he gets the volume. Now they're both in the same team, which you never want to see two quality fantasy tight ends on the same team because it definitely hurts their volume. Who do you think has higher fantasy value?
That's a tough one. I want to go with Hunter Henry just because he's produced more, and I think I'll stick with him. But it's hard for me to evaluate the tight end position with the Patriots. I think that Cam Newton will have a vastly improved second season with the Patriots. Only throwing for 8 touchdowns is not what you want to see.
Yeah.
But he also had COVID made through the season. You could tell that after COVID, his body had taken a little bit of a toll from that. And, hopefully with the full off season, not being signed later on in the off season and having this experience with the team, that he can sort of recapture some of that old Cam Newton. And that old Cam Newton loved the tight end position when he was passing it to Greg Olsen. Now he has 2 quality tight ends. That can both catch the ball and do a lot. I would lean more towards Hunter Henry just because he's shown year in and year out, I'm going to get you over 500 yards. I'm going to get you over 35 catches. I'm going to get in the end zone. But that doesn't mean that don't look out for Jonnu Smith on those deep balls. I think that we're going to see, the Patriots of the early 2000s back in these two tight end sets. And it's going to be an interesting year for fantasy evaluating that tight end position. I have Hunter Henry in Dynasty. I'm probably not going to keep him because I'm still worried, but I would lean more towards him than I would Jonnu Smith at the start of the season during my drafting process.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I think that, just volume. I just need to hear somebody else say it. It's just a very tough question when you have that position extra stacked up. So is there maybe a team, we're talking about how the Patriots, got improved, and that was obviously from losing Tom Brady. Is there maybe a team, that you feel like really came up and signed maybe a lot of people and improved the most this offseason?
Dude, Tampa Bay. I think when you're able to win a championship and you're able to bring back each significant key that helped you get to that win. And yes, did Chris Godwin and Mike Evans not do a lot in the Super Bowl? Absolutely. But they didn't have to, because that's not how this system, their offense works. It's going to find the open man. We're going to win game and be unselfish. Mike Evans was willing to take a pay cut so that way they can make sure that they sign all these other players. They are in this team oriented. Let's win as many championships as we can. They get Shaq Barrett back. They get Chris Godwin back. They're getting their guys back. That's really, really important. They got Levante David back. They've signed them to some long-term deals. They're going to try to get Sub back. He's representing himself in this upcoming offseason. They have potential to bring back Leonard Fournette. This team is ready for round 2.
Yeah.
They have the draft now to utilize to help with their depth. They restructured Tom Brady. When you're able to maintain your team and after a championship season, and especially the key players that helped you get there, it's you've solidified me as favorites to win the Super Bowl again, especially when you have Tom Brady, who shut me up and won the Super Bowl after I said Patrick Mahomes is going to win it. So Tampa Bay Buccaneers, you improved by maintaining your winning team. That is so, so crucial. And it's not like that they're crazy old guys with Tom Brady. So Tampa Bay Buccaneers, what about you?
Yeah, for me, it was the Browns, and I'll keep it nice and simple. It was the signing here of John Johnson, the safety from LA. And he was able last year in the Rams defense to show that he was really a hybrid safety. I think that's something that the Browns desperately needed. They need somebody to be able to contain Lamar Jackson. They need somebody to be able to contain the heavy run game in their division and keep people, from over top. His guys, Denzel Ward's going to be right next to him there, the prime corner in Cleveland. So I really like this signing. They made the playoffs last year after a long time not making it. I think that they just didn't need to improve. They didn't have too much money money to spend because of the years prior to spending to get all the guys they have now. And now I think that they just got better. Very simple. Got a top safety in this. They came out with a top free agent on a good deal. And this guy had over 100 tackles last year. He's going to be productive. And this defense could use that extra little slide. And for you, we talked about teams here. Is there maybe a player you think is going to do better on the next team?
Yeah, Carl Lawson. I thought that was a great signing by the Jets. I think it's an under the radar signing that not a lot of people, were looking at Carl Lawson's way, who was just in Cincinnati last year. But look, their head coach Robert Saleh has done a great job when it comes to defensive players, especially when it comes to defensive line. And we've seen what he's been able to do with Eric Armstead, Nick Bosa, Solomon Thomas, DeForest Bunker. Like, he brings out the best in defensive players. He's getting a young 26-year-old guy who's coming off a 5.5 sack season, 2 forced fumble, 32 quarterbacks hits. Saleh got his guy on the defensive line along to pair with Quinn Williams.
Yeah,
I expect that this Jets defensive front seven is going to be vastly improved from what we've been seeing the last few years, with Saleh now taking over the helm, and his great defensive mind, I think, and winning mentality is really going to help bring this Jets team more into this winning culture that they haven't really been in since like the Rex Ryan era, it feels like. So I'm really excited about that signing. What about you?
Yeah, I mean, I love that. I'm gonna steal your thunder here with another pass rusher, a little under the radar guy, Trey Hendrickson, who this year, flew right onto the radar. He came in and had 13.5 sacks in 15 games, on a New Orleans defense.
Tied with Aaron Donald for most sacks on the season.
And it's impressive. This guy doesn't get a chance to really start for years, and then he comes in and he really just takes. I mean, in the 3 years prior, he only started three games, and he got 6 sacks. But this year he got his shot. He was in a contract year. New Orleans did well as a defense, and he earned it. He got 4 years, $60 million. He was able to really get his payday that he deserved. And Cincinnati needs this. They got rid of Geno Atkins this week and Carlos Dunlap during the season. He's going to have to be somebody that they build around. This defense is going under construction right now, and they did get a really top prime free agent. The Bengals are usually never too active in free agency, but this was a big signing for me.
Yeah, absolutely. On that note of players that we liked and we think are going to do better on a new team, are there any players you think are going to take a step back in 2021 because they joined a new team?
Yeah, I mean, for me, that's got to be Marvin Jones. We were talking about just production and value, and Marvin Jones right now is entering 31. He's a great receiver, but he's going into a run-heavy offense right now in Jacksonville. He's not going to have that Matthew Stafford-led offense he's been used to the last few years. And even before that, when he was in Detroit, he was in Cincinnati with Andy Dalton, and they were airing it out in that offense. This is probably going to be the first time that he's being used in a completely different way. And last year, not to discredit him, he had 76 catches, almost 1,000 yards, 978 and 9 touchdowns. And he's had 9 touchdowns in back-to-back seasons. But I just don't see that production here, especially even if they get Trevor Lawrence at the number 1. You're dealing with a rookie quarterback with a tough offensive line situation. I think Marvin Jones could be on a way to taking a step back, because Jacksonville is going to need another number 1 receiver for Trevor for the next couple of years. And is there somebody you think is going to take a step back? Because it's been a crazy season.
Yeah, I just want to say about Marvin Jones, I like that pick there. The offensive coordinator now in Jacksonville was the one with the Lions. Yeah, and what's funny is that he did score 9 touchdowns, but if you look at it, it was slightly skewed. There was a 4-touchdown game against my Vikings.
Yeah,
Lions still lost, but that 9 touchdowns is a little bit exaggerated when you look at the one game with 4 touchdowns that happened later in the season. But I think my player would have to be Bud Dupree.
Okay.
I think he's a great pass rusher. It's not to discredit him. The last 2 seasons he's been phenomenal, but look at the talent that surrounded him on the defense. He had TJ Watt, he had Stephon Tuitt, he had Vince Williams, he had Cam Hayward, he had Micah Fitzpatrick, he had Joe Hayden. There were so many stars around him that helped them get at the quarterback. And now he's in Tennessee. They were the 30th up against the quarterback last year and getting after the quarterback, getting sacks. They were not good at doing that. Didn't have a player to even get 6 sacks. That's not what you want to see. And now you're bringing in this one guy to do all of the work and get after the quarterback. And I just don't know if he'll, get that 11.5 sacks that we've been seeing, because he's going to be the only guy that any offense needs to double team. And
Yeah.
while they have a solid, linebacking core and Harold Landry and Rashawn Evans, those are not really pass rushing linebackers. Those are run stopping and cover guys. So
Yep.
I think that it won't be because of talent for Bud Dupree that he takes a step back. It more so just has to do with he won't be surrounded with all the talent that will give him the opportunity to get after the quarterback the way that he was able to with the Steelers.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. I mean, and he got a big contract. He's going to have to live up to a lot of hype, and he's going to have to be the main pass rusher for the first time in his career. That's what it's all about now. You get the big deal.
He's going to get 9 sacks and it will still be okay. I don't think he's going to have that same impact that he did the way that he had on the Steelers. That's really it. It is. You can game plan a little bit easier now for the Titans, knowing that they have like the one like pass rusher. So for me, it really just has more to do with that. Before we call a video here, just want to let everyone know there are still a lot of notable top remaining free agents, man.
Yeah.
James White is out there, Alejandro Villanueva, the offensive tackle, Russell Kuhn, Mitchell Schwartz, James Conner, Eric Fisher, AJ Bouye, Alex Smith. If anyone still needs a quarterback, Kawan Short, Kawan Alexander. There are some quality free agents out there that still have yet to be signed. I'm really curious actually to see where TY goes. I thought he was going to finish everything out in Indianapolis, and they have made no. I've seen no reports about him returning, no rumors about him returning. So it's been so far a good first week. I'm more excited for week 2.
Yeah, week 2 is going to be exciting. We get to see all these guys that we're already shocked. I mean, like you said, I'm shocked some of these guys that you're listing have not been signed yet. But
Kenny G.
G. Stay tuned for the Kenny G news.
Yeah. Well, thank you for tuning in. Thank you for listening.
Absolutely.
Enjoy the rest of the offseason. We got a long one ahead of us leading up to the draft.
Yeah, absolutely. Enjoy it. Check us out on YouTube. Always like and subscribe. Check us out on justsayingfootball.com. And if you ever want any article and video updates, check it out on Instagram at justsayingnogwjs. Thank you for watching.
Enjoy.